People have problems. Men wrote the Bible. I just love that. You saying that's the word of God, but men wrote the Bible. But the men who wrote it claimed that they were writing the word of God. Yeah, but it's written by men. You can't rely on things that are written by men. Here's what I want you to do then, if you believe that. You know a college student who's studying mathematics and they've been taught the Pythagorean theorem and they got it wrong on a test. I want you to tell them to look at their professor and say, you can't mark me off on that because that information came out of a book that was written by men. As a matter of fact, if that's your problem with the Bible, I want you to get rid of every book that you have because every one you have was penned by men. If your argument is that information is inherently unreliable because men take pen to paper, you can never trust anything else that you ever read in life. You got to do better than that. Well, then they try to do better than that. And they say, well, okay. But I believe that stuff. You can prove it to me scientifically. At this point, I need to confess something to you. There's a man who lives inside of me. His name is Bad Bodie. I try to only let him out at night, late, once a week, when nobody's around. But sometimes he escapes. And one of the times he tries to escape is when people say this about the Bible. I believe that. You can prove it to me scientifically. When that happens, I clench my fist and try to grab real tight before Bad Bodie just goes off and does his thing. However, usually I fail. I have to confess that. Please pray for me. Because he doesn't do things the way that I would like to do things. Because he hears that and just goes off. He says, wait a minute. Did you just say to me that you'll believe the Bible if I can prove it to you scientifically? We have serious problems here. The first problem is you stating that indicates to me that you don't even deserve to be in this conversation. However, I'm going to allow you to stay in this conversation because I'm going to enjoy this. Because you saying that indicates two things to me. Number one, you have no clue about the authority or historicity of the Bible. And number two, you don't even know anything about the scientific method. If you did, you would realize that in order to perform the scientific method, something has to be observable, measurable, and repeatable. Newsflash. Historical events aren't observable, measurable, and repeatable. You can't use the scientific method to prove that George Washington was our first president. So if you actually have a problem with the Bible because you can't apply the scientific method, you've got a problem with history itself. Now that we've settled the fact that you don't deserve to be in this conversation, let's go back to the real issue at hand, which is this. If something is written, the only way you can question it is if you don't have corroboration or there's internal inconsistency. We can't find any internal inconsistency, and we've got multiple corroboration. We got 3 languages, Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. We got 3 continents, Asia, Africa, and Europe. We have over 40 authors, most of whom never met one another because they wrote over a period of some 1,600 years. Look in your dictionary. That would be the very definition of corroboration. So unless you have anything that would negate what we find in the Bible, you have to accept the fact, based on the evidentiary method, not the scientific method, that the Bible is a reliable collection of historical documents written down by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They report to us supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies and claim that their writings are divine rather than human in origin. And I know that I missed verse 19 because that's where the gravy comes from. Because the gravy is, oh, by the way, I tried it and it worked for me.